What's up, everybody? This is going to be a quickish random ramble. Space Wolves were announced both in the box set Tooth and Claw as well as their codex announced. In the box set, we see a pretty cool Space Wolf Primaris battle leader model, which I assume is what they're calling their lieutenants. And he's got a power axe or a frost axe or something as part of his war gear, and he looks suitably Space Wolfy. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if he'll ever be sold independently or not, but he comes in that box. So seeing that really got me thinking about something that I kind of had tinfoil hat theory wise in the back of my mind since we first saw Primaris. And that is that Primaris were going to be an issue to introduce for the Space Wolves. You knew Space Wolves were getting it right from the get-go. There's no question of that. It was basically spelled out for us. But the question in my mind is how? Because Space Wolves don't follow the codex structure at all. They basically follow the same structure that they use since the Legion time periods, you could say, more or less. So they march the beat of their own drum. As a result, Primaris, which are very rigidly laid out, structure-wise, would feel a little bit odd just thrown into the Space Wolf Codex with Space Wolf special rules. And if that is what they ultimately decided on doing, that's a little bit of a shame. By the same token, we can't have them be too freeform for several reasons. They gotta, since they are a unit type in multiple books, they more or less have to be on equal footing in certain respects. B, the kits don't allow for real crazy builds of stuff without going crazy yourself. And as we've seen with GW's structure of units and stuff when it comes to rules, if the kit doesn't do it, you don't really have it. Or if the kit really can't do it, you're not really going to get it. So there's that. And without having to go full bore big sprue of upgrade stuff for Primaris, which would be, I think, beyond the scope of the work they want to do, I think we're going to see some type of, hopefully I think we're going to see some type of middle ground. Some type of course, special rule application, because they're in that codex, so they're going to get it. But outside of that, I'm hoping maybe some type of upgrade that's unique to them. And they can take. The Dark Angels didn't get that, and the Blood Angels didn't really get that necessarily. At least not that I can recall. And if they did, then that's my bad. But from what I could tell, they didn't really get that. So while it would be a little bit quote-unquote unfair, I'm okay with Space Wolf getting something unique that way to help the Primaris feel more in line with their theme. And I'm not a Space Wolf fan at all. What I think they might do is they might just do what the Death Watch did, which turns the Interceptor squad into potential of being a mixed unit squad, which I think would be very Space Wolfy, so that might be the route they go. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of put my 2 cents out there before they really start digging into the details of what the Codex is going to have in there and all that jazz. Do you think the Space Wolf Codex was calculated to come out this far off from the rest of the Space Marine Codex launches? Or do you think perhaps it was delayed, perhaps, in part, not solely, but in part, by trying to introduce Primaris in a way that wouldn't feel completely at odds with the Space Wolf lore and the Space Wolf way of doing things? We also see a eyebrow-raising mentioning of Wolfen Dreadnoughts, which I just laughed at when I first saw that because it's such a silly, ridiculous thing. A Wolfen as a Dreadnought really wouldn't... It's a Dreadnought. It's a machine. It's not... But anyway, I just think it's silly. Hopefully this referring to that equally silly murder whatever Dreadnought thing, which was just... I'm just going to say dumb. But that's just my opinion. If you like it, whatever, but I just think it's silly. Hopefully the Wolfen Dreadnoughts aren't that ridiculously silly. But the idea of them in general is just silly in my mind. Because again, you're a Dreadnought, so you're just inside. It's like a Death Company Dreadnought makes sense, right? Because it's a Astartes in the grips of the Black Rage put into a Dreadnought sarcophagus. The Dreadnought still has Dreadnought capability. It's just a kind of more Berserk Fury killing machine than a standard Dreadnought because of the pilot's mindset. Wolfen don't necessarily have a berserk fury kill crazed mindset. They are more werewolf-y, right? Um, them in a dreadnought is just it's a hairier space wolf in a dreadnought. I don't know. Anyways, I'm getting on a tangent here. Hopefully, it's not too ridiculously silly, but I do think whatever a mixture of tactics to release the codex later on, a mixture of course, trying to innovate things, and I think also a mixture of trying to figure out how to introduce Primaris into the codex proper and have it feel just not out of place. On the one hand, they could be deliberately kind of feel a little bit out of place because it's an outside influence. It's their gene seed, their lineage, but molded outside of their control and introduced back to them. And it could be kind of that whole thing in the codex, a little bit of coping with it and dealing with that and having that structure amongst their more more amoebic style of structure, if you will. I don't know. Just food for thought. Share your thoughts in the comment section below, because why not? Let's speculate before we really see any type of previews that might answer these questions. I am curious to eventually get the codex and take a look at it myself. I like collecting codices, and I, again, am not a Space Wolf fan, but I have no bones about looking into them and stuff like that, because why not? Anyways, with that said, one last thing to bring up. I did see the comment asking about my thoughts on Primaris with Grey Knights, and then other stuff in that same... That was the big one that made me remember the comment. So I do remember that comment, as I mentioned. And I will answer that specific kind of comment string of questions. It was like one big question about Grey Knight Primaris, and then... and also like Grey Knight bikes or whatever I think was in there as well. In a ramble in the not too distant future, hopefully soonish. Once I'm able to ramble some more, I will do my thoughts on Primaris and Grey Knight stuff in general, because it's a good question that I don't want to just answer as a yes no blurb reply in the comment section. So that's gonna get a ramble. Anyways, thanks for sticking through it. Hopefully you weren't too bored. Share your thoughts on the topic as well in regards to Space Wolves Codex release and Primaris. Do you think Primaris is what hung them up? Now that I'm sure I made somebody PO'd in the comments section, you said Primaris a million times, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for sticking through it. Take it easy.